afraid, we no see no one where we afraid of. We no afraid, we no see no one where we afraid of. Yeah, this is Everton Blender. And it's all about the young police from Jamaica, seeing Young Police Channel. Big up yourself, Everton Blender said that. We no afraid, we no see no one where we afraid of.
Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police Channel. To our loyal viewers, subscribers and Patreon member. At the channel, we are a group of law-abiding citizens who believe in the rule of law and respect the rights of every citizen, but not the ones who do not subscribe to such behavior. We do believe in and support preemptive strikes because they save lives. This is a logical conclusion because preemptive strikes save lives and prevent the further loss of lives. We are all about saving lives at this channel. We at the channel aid criminals with a passion and do not want them over here. We do not want your views, your subscriptions, your likes or your comments. Please go elsewhere where the red carpet is waiting for you. Over here, we want you to go to prison or the departure lounge at Madden. Yeah, so moving on to today's video. Remember that this channel is a channel that celebrates informers. We do believe that informers must live and every killers must go straight to the departure lounge. Yes, you know, today Tuesday, October 7th is the first day back into the Jamaican Parliament since the general election. And guess who is out of the gate swinging the attack dog from the Jamaica Labour Party, yeah man, the great Everall Warmington, and him set the tone of Parliament opening day. We say, hey, when you watch and listen to Everall Warmington, you're going to laugh because the man said, no foreigner will ever be a Jamaican Prime Minister. And him set the tone on the Parliament's opening day. Him tell Mark Golding, say, boy, you have many years to be opposition leader. Him bought it up. And him put Peter Bunting in place and put the pedophile, Dayton Campbell. That's a man with them called kids meal. All of you like a pitney them, you know. You understand? So in a PMP, you have convicted court dealer in a parliament. You have big rear and convicted drug dealer. You have daughter, Angela Brownberg, who father a murderer, known murderer, a peer criminal in a PMP, may I tell you. They want to pay a criminal over this one of them things. So I just saw it go. So today marks the first sitting of the Jamaican Parliament since the general election, which was held on September 3rd. And Andrew Holness whopped them again. 3 out of 3. I not for him beat them all in the local government. He not stop beat them because he's a Jamaican and he's doing, he might change the country, the future of the country, to make Jamaica become a livable place where criminals live in a fear of losing in their life, not law-abiding citizens. So if anyone thought that the opening day was going to be quiet, polite day of handshakes and congratulations, they were dead wrong. Because out of the gates like a thoroughbred in the Derby came none other than Jamaican Labour Party's veteran enforcer and a top dog, an apologetic truth teller, Everall Warmington, him bad man, him come out with his trademark fire and ferocity. Warmington wasted no time in delivering a blistering reality check to the People's National Party LGBTQ plus criminal organization, and most importantly to their leader, Mark Golding, standing firm. Warmington thunder statement that echoed through Garden House and across the island. You'll be leader of the opposition for a very long time because no foreigner will ever be the Prime Minister of Jamaica, him said to Mark Golding. A statement that shook the chamber. No. For those new to the political theatre of Jamaica, Warmington words weren't just another theory, jab. They were line drawn in the sand. And whether you love or hate his style, you cannot deny the underlying message he's delivering. Jamaica is for Jamaicans, and leadership of this sovereign nation should never fall into the hands of someone whose roots, allegiance, and loyalty lie elsewhere. Warmington's remark was not just political rhetoric. It was a deep-seated sentiment shared by many Jamaicans who believe that our independence, our history and our dignity as a people must never be compromised by those who cannot truly understand or represent the Jamaican experience. The golden question, patriot or political opportunist. Some are Golden, whose British lineage and dual citizenship have long been a point of contention, has faced growing criticism for what many see as a conflict of identity and loyalty. While he insists that he loves Jamaica, critics argue that love is not enough. No, love is not enough, Rasta. Leadership requires a deep, lived connection to the struggles, sacrifices and spirit of the Jamaican people. And let's be honest, how can someone who was not born here, did not grow up here, and once held allegiance to another crown, truly stand as a face of Jamaica sovereignty? Warmington comments tap into his powerful undercurrent of national pride, a sentiment that resonates far beyond party lines. The verbal grenades, Mr. Kid's meal and the porty. But Warmington was a finishing classic form. He turned his political flamethrower and two other senior PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization figures, Dr. Dayton Campbell, whom Warmington mockingly referred to as Mr. Kid's meal, a biting reference meant to question Campbell's maturity and credibility as a political leader, because our big man have trouble little picnic and love them little, same love chocha. Then you have the guy named Peter Bunting, who did not escape Warmington's wrath either, being dismissed as a deportee. That insult, loaded with political and personal connotations, reminded everyone that Bunting too carries political baggage that many Jamaicans haven't forgotten. These jobs, though stinging, serve a larger purpose. They are not just insults. They are strategic attacks aimed at exposing what Warmington and many JLP supporters see as the hollow leadership and questionable credibility of a PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization that is desperately trying to reinvent itself while still clinging to the same old faces. Why this debate matters, it's bigger than politics. This is not just about partisan bickering. It's about the soul of the nation. Jamaica is 63 years into its independence, and the question of who is truly qualified to lead is more relevant than ever. Warmington's comments are forcing Jamaicans to confront uncomfortable but necessary questions. Should someone with dual loyalty, especially to the former colonial power, be allowed to lead this nation? No. It is enough to hold a Jamaican passport, or must our leader also have lived generational connection to the land and its people? And most importantly, are we prepared to defend our sovereignty, not just from external threats, but from within our own political system? Warmington's bold statement is a rallying cry for Jamaicans to think critically about leadership and identity. It's a reminder that the fight for independence was not just a historical event, it is an ongoing mission. So the takeaway, leadership is about roots and responsibility. Whether you agree with Everald Warmington's tone or not, one thing is certain, he has reignited a national conversation that Jamaica needs to have. Leadership is not a title, it's a sacred responsibility. And in a nation built on the blood, sweat and resilience of its people, that responsibility must rest in the hands of those whose roots run deep in its soil. So, as Parliament begin its new chapter, remember this future of Jamaica should never be for sale, and it should never be outsourced. It belongs to those who have lived its struggles, understand its heartbeat, and are prepared to defend its sovereignty without questions, without apologies, and without divided loyalty. Yeah, man, Warmington did justice to the Jamaican people. Yeah, man, in the parliament. So, you watch, you listen, and you decide. You're going to hear every Warmington in their own word. I tell you, man, in the play. Yes, before I start today's video, I'm just asking you, members of the Jamaica Young Police channel, you need to subscribe to this channel. United we win that, divided we lose. Because once we unite as a people, they can't beat us. It doesn't matter who they are. They can't oppress us or brainwash us with their lies to tell us that up is down and down is up. We know that in this world, most people worship money, but we worship God. Our money is only of this world. And people hate you when they speak the truth. So, moving on.
Mr. Speaker, the
Just turn
hypocrisy,
one of the mics off, please.
the hypocrisy that one hears coming from that side. The leader of opposition, who shall remain there, maintains that he codes Mr. Speaker, I will not be distracted by a member who got beaten in central Manchester, run to south Manchester to seek refuge. I ran in southwest St. Catherine all the while, win all the while, the large number of votes. So please, don't. He mentioned standing orders 75-3. Okay? And it says plainly, may. It don't say has to be. It says may. Okay? It's 68-3 said, subject to provision of standing order number 71. A sessional select committee shall consist of not less than 6 members, including chairman, none of whom shall be minister or parliamentary secretary. All right? So you can always amend. And I came here, hold on. I came in 1980. And the only other 2 members who served here since then was Minister Chang and Mr. Bartlett. Okay? And since then, they've always come, they always maintain, and his government, notwithstanding standing order 75, he approved on his government constantly. So why it's so convenient today? Hold on, man, hold on. Not, I served on committees while your government, and there were ministers who sat on those committees and chaired those committees. He said, notwithstanding, and you hypocrites support it then, leave it then. Just a minute. It has not been changed. No. It has not been changed.
Member.
Bruce Golding came here.
Member, sorry.
Look here.
You're rising on a point of...
The language of hypocrites and pointing to us is unparliamentary, and I urge a member to withdraw.
Withdraw what? Withdraw. What is that withdraw? Hypocrites? Well, all right. I won't say hypocrite. I say hypocritical behaviors. Hypocritical behaviors. There's no way in this standing order that state that opposition members must chair committee in this house. Nowhere in the world does it happen. Bruce Golding came here, made that statement. It's not written inside of here. We are guided by this. It was not amended. It was not amended to reflect that opposition members chair committee. He made that statement. Okay? Unless it is written inside here, hypocritical statements from that side must be rejected. Don't come with that. You voted for it. You voted for it. Who? You who? Met our Mark Golden. Look here. Don't let me go further than that.
Members. Member, are you
Mr.
through?
Speaker, Dayton, shut your mouth.
Member.
Crystal,
Member.
thing up, so you have to go west, want to go seek refuge. Don't talk to me. I don't run.
Member from St. Catherine South Western. Remember, you are not allowed to refer to any member by name.
Even the white one.
Member from St. Catherine Southeastern. St. Clarendon Southeastern, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have listened to the commentary from colleagues, and I want to make it very clear that the past arrangements must be seen for what they were. Political accommodations, not any constitutional obligations. And that must be very, very clear. In this democracy, our democratic architecture allows for Parliament's function to be in a manner consistent, not only with the standing order, but with the sovereign will of the people, a people who made certain decisions on September 3rd. And when they made those decisions, the decisions allowed for a composition, permit me, for the composition of Parliament, which always has at least one side having a majority, whether slim or wide. And because of the democracy, you do have conventions, but you have the flexibility as things evolve to review, restructure, and to make decisions. And I would say that the decisions made in terms of the chairmanship as they are now reflect an effective balance, where you see the PAC and the PAAC still chaired by the opposition, and those are the committees that have specific connectivity to financial accountability and fiduciary matters, while the others are more policy and legislative, and those are actually effectively chaired by the government and may lead to greater balance and efficiency. And I'm glad that the member said what he said a while ago, that it's my interpretation, and that is what is allowed in a democracy. A democracy, permit me, a democracy is not static. It is a creature, it is evolving. And as long as whatever you are effectively doing does not offend or contravene the standing order, the laws, or the Constitution, permit me. You have your opinion, and I listened. Listen to me, and then thereafter you can tell me if I'm speaking foolishness. Now, as I was saying, Mr. Speaker, as long as it does not contravene the standing order or the laws, it is the governing party, the majority in the Parliament, that has the responsibility of making decisions in how best it can see the efficiency of the committees. Now the question then is, if we see this to be improved coordination and a balance, because we still have the opposition chairing two of the committees, particularly the critical ones that relate to fiduciary matters, then the question is whether or not it offends or contravenes the standing order. In my opinion, Mr. Speaker, it was noted that the member spoke to Section 75. And the country must be very clear in understanding the distinction in law and legislative interpretation between the words may and shall. And here, where it says may, that is a discretion. Discretion meaning there's no obligation. As I said before, you're talking about political accommodations. Matter of fact, what is being proposed by the opposition now is a matter of entitlement. Almost as if they believe there's a parliamentary entitlement to chair. There is none. There is none. There is none. And the other matter relates then to the issue, Mr. Speaker, of 68.3.
Member.
I want clearly to understand what the point of order is, please.
Just a minute.
Mr. Speaker, the member is misleading the House because there are two separate matters that are being discussed. One is about chairmanship and the other is around the membership. And in what he has said just now,
that is complete rubbish. Listen, a point of order to the point of order. A point of order to that point of order.
So there are two different issues that have been raised, Mr. Speaker. And in what the member is saying, he is conflating both and confusing them. In addition, look at the dictionary. In addition, Mr. Speaker, there has been no entitlement that
Member from Clarendon Southeastern. Member from Clarendon Southeastern. You may continue.
You know, Mr. Speaker, my submissions, are not in any way, people know, to be seen as trying to be contentious, but rather bringing clarity to the country. You can agree or you can disagree, but when you rise to say a point of order, it must have a fundamental ground as a point of order. That was not. So let me move on. I was bringing us in my closing back to the matter of 68.3. Now 68.3 speaks to the select committees and all of the sessional select committees and rightfully provides guidance to us subject to the provisions of Standing Order 71. And I will allow the House Leader to go into further detail in how the Parliament has treated with matters of this nature for the life of the Parliament in terms of the procedure used to ensure that you can, as a Parliament, determine whether you abide strictly by this or you call for certain procedures to allow you to have, as in this case, ministers on the committee. There is a particular procedure that can allow for it, despite the vocabulary used in 68.3. But I'm going to allow the House Leader to go into greater detail in that regard.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have heard what you mean, sit down. What you mean, sit down? Who? No, Mr. Speaker, my mic was on. He didn't realize.
Member. I had asked the House Leader to speak. The reason that your mic came on is that I had turned off his mic first when the other member was speaking, and you put your mic on, so you get the go ahead. I am now asking the House Leader to speak, and then you.
You will hear. 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 Members. Members. No, that's the point. Allow me. I'm not going to close the debate. No. All right. So, Mr. Speaker, I have heard the members who have contributed to the debate thus far, and I am aware that there are more members who have indicated that they want to contribute, and I think as they see the direction that I'm taking, then they will understand and we can speak thereafter. But as I have gotten up a couple of things, Mr. Speaker, and I say this one to the members in general, as this is our first official business day of the Parliament. I do agree that the standing orders provides the guide, and I will ask that when people quote from the standing orders that they read the provision in full, because if they don't do that, they may take out a part to try and give an impression that is false. So when the leader of opposition, the member, read the provision in relation to the selection of committees, he framed it in a particular manner. It says, except as otherwise provided by these orders or by special direction of the House, a select committee may elect a chairman from the members. He never mentioned the first area of the provision, especially the special direction of the House in which we sit, as a route through which chairmen of committees can be chosen. I will not say it was purposefully misleading, but I will ask the members to read the provisions in full, or they may give a wrong impression. The other thing that I say to all the members, especially those who've been around for longer than I have been around, there are some conventions that have been established over time. And those conventions are so well established that when the House prepares the documentation for these committees, it is actually included in the documentation. One of those conventions have to do with ministers of state, and the fact that ministers of state have sat on many a select committee, including committees in the last session on which the opposition sat and did not complain. And that is why the motions are written in a manner that says notwithstanding. And because what the member from Eastern Westmoreland said rightly, that as a small parliament, we have to look at some of the conventions that have been used to ensure that you can effectively function as a government. That is why the provision for notwithstanding Standing Order 68.3 has been maintained from before I was in this parliament. In fact, from before I was born. And opposition and government, in the spirit of working together, opposition and government, in the spirit of working together, even in the last sitting, the last term of parliament, in the spirit of working together, opposition and government have worked together on this. And that is why people like the honorable member, State Minister Witter, would have chaired the Regulations Committee in the last term. That is why Member Main would have been on multiple commissions, and this opposition under the same leadership
the same leader of opposition, business raised no issue. I say that the opposition must reflect as to whether we are going to truly work together in a spirit of cooperation. I'll make two more points and then I'll indicate my intention. No, there is a fallacy that is paraded around as to whether the committees function better under opposition rule, chairmanship, which was a brief point in our history. And when I looked at the functioning of the committees in relation to how many times they met, it is very hard to discern the difference between when the opposition was in charge of the committees and when the government was in charge of the committees. In fact, with a committee like the Ethics Committee, between 2012 and 2015, it met nine times. It met 9 times. A committee under the change during that same 3-year period between 2016 and 2020, it met times. Again, what you hear the members speaking of is that it depends on the amount of work that the committee has to do. The additional point that I will raise is that there are schemes that are outlined in the standing order. The standing order has some committees that it indicates who the chairmanship is. By convention, we have always allowed the opposition to chair the Public Accounts Committee and the PAAC, and that has not changed. Additionally, when you look at the UK system, there is only one committee chaired by the opposition, and that's the Public Accounts Committee. Only one committee. And the reason for that, Mr. Speaker, is that despite what has been said by the members, committees like the Production, the Human Resources, the Economy and Production Committee, the Infrastructure Committee are established to ensure that the policy direction of the government is being implemented through its ministries and agencies. And again, and it is not by chance that the PAC and the PAAC, remember the PAC is the committee that has Auditor General reports to, and the PAAC that always had embedded in it a strong oversight responsibility, were chaired by the opposition. So, as the member from West Central, St. James, indicated, when you look at the definition of the committees and what they're called upon to do, for you to believe that a member of the government could not effectively chair that committee, I think is a false assertion. So there are other points, Mr. Speaker, but I will say this thing, because, Mr. Speaker, I want us to embark on this journey with a sort of sameness of purpose, appreciating that the people have selected a government, that the government is here to work with the opposition, appreciating appreciated that on every single committee, the opposition has members. What I will allow me, members. What I will do, Speaker. What I will do, because to be honest, I thought we were on when I spoke to my opposition counterpart, even though he did indicate some misgivings in relation to the chairmanship, right? I thought that the other matters that they have raised, which especially the ones which they as government, when they were government, were accorded those privileges, I think maybe it is the moment they are utilizing. So what I will do, I will suspend the debate. I will have a discussion with the leader of opposition business, so that when we come back here, hopefully we are in one accord. Additionally, as I said when I started, I urge the leader of opposition business and the leader of the opposition that things that they accorded within the past, as soon as the term before us, committees that they sat on with composition of state ministers, don't use this opportunity to grandstand, but let us work together. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the suspension of the debate, and we will continue.
Yeah, so now that you have listened to Warmington and Colonel Charles Jr. and you're the PMP try to counter what they are saying, but Warmington is educating them. When may become shall Jamaica leadership in crisis. So the PMP, them as usual, them send the dunce one them going to Parliament. They don't know the meaning of may and shall. And then you have Colonel Charles Jr. who have to break it down to the people, the adults them. Catch them a dummy to one them thing, the meaning between may and shall. So let us be brutally honest today, my fellow Jamaicans and those in the diaspora and those who listen to the Jamaica Young Police channel. When a nation sends so many intellectually unprepared, functionally illiterate and politically immature people into its House of Parliament, especially under the banner of the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, and they cannot even grasp the basics difference between the words may and shall, then Jamaica does not have a political problem. Jamaica has a national emergency. Imagine, those of us who understand the meaning of words know that may, it means just what it says, and its meaning. Shall, it means it have to be done. So this isn't about English grammar. This is about law, governance, and the future of our country. Because in legal and constitutional language, the difference between may and shall is not a matter of vocabulary. It is the difference between option and obligation, between discretion and duty, between possibility and power. Understanding the basics, may versus shall. May means there is a choice. It gives authority, but not a requirement. Some of them can break it down to there, you understand? So it, give you authority, but it's not a requirement. You understand? May I have this beer? Yes. You can have it, but it's not a requirement, so you don't get it. Then shall mean no. Shall, there is no choice. It's create a legal obligation, something must be done. Then you say, shall I have that beer? You have to give him because it's a legal obligation. So that's the difference between me and shall. But because them are dumb, them thing there. If dummies, I vote for dummies, you're going to send dummies go to Parliament. So that's happening now. So first day of Parliament, 2020-25, is exposed to the PMP. Not only is a criminal organization, but they have functionally illiterate people in the Parliament. And guess what? The brightest man in the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, Damien Crawford, I backbench him because he's the scholar in the party, you know. You understand? This is elementary knowledge that any high school civics student should understand. Yet we have men and women walking into garden house, paid with taxpayers' money, tasked with writing laws and shaping the destiny of this nation, who cannot even comprehend these foundational principles. And when lawmakers do not understand the law they are soon to uphold, they become dangerous, because their ignorance is not just embarrassing, it's legislative malpractice. Ignorance isn't power, equal disaster for the people. How can you expect proper governance from people who cannot differentiate between a suggestion and a mandate? Come remember, you know, May is a suggestion, you know, and shall is a mandate. You must do it. How can they debate constitutional amendments, interpret parliamentary standing orders or pass bills that affect 3.5 million people when they are confused by the most basic terms? This is a grade 6 grammar, or should I say primary school grammar. This is precisely why we find ourselves in this current mess. Laws being misinterpreted and constitutional provisions are twisted, and police and policies being abused, all because the very people entrusted to safeguard democracy don't even understand the tools they are working with. This is a reflection of a bigger problem. But this isn't about semantics. It's a reflection of the rot that has infected Jamaica's political culture. The PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, desperate for power, has been recruiting and elevating individuals not based on merit, competence or vision, but based on loyalty, tribalism, criminal background, and how loud they can shout in Parliament. The result, as legislative chamber filled with people who confuse political performance with public service, who recite slogans instead of citing laws, and who think parliamentary debate is a street corner argument rather than a constitutional duty. And this is the cost of ignorance. And make no mistake, this ignorance has a price. It is paid by the single mother whose legal rights are overlooked because a law was poorly written. It is paid by the youth whose future is undermined by bad policy. It is paid by the entire nation when international investors lose confidence in our legal system. When lawmakers are dunce, the law becomes dangerous. And when the laws are dangerous, the people suffer. Jamaicans must demand competence, clarity and accountability from those who represent them in the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, and the ones who can correct the dummies, them not doing it because them know say boy that will cause conflict. They know have embarrassed the people in them parties, so them dunce. We cannot continue to send people to God knows just because they can chant party slogans, hand out curry goat money at election time, or curse the opposing party louder than anyone else. We need thinkers, not talkers. We need people like Warmington, them and their scholar them. Yeah, Warmington tell them and them say, oh, me there from 1980. All on hurry come up. Me and Head Bartlett and all of them man are there a long time. No, the whole on you know, when you just come on them thing there. Me never run gun away, me and a deport here talk to Bunting. And him say me no buy vote. Me no buy vote. People vote for me. And I me get the highest vote in Jamaica every time. You know, so I'm sure. Say I'm the man. So as you know, we need people who understand that every word in a bill, every clause in the Constitution, and every phrase in legislation has consequences. Consequences that shape the lives of generations to come. So now that the Jamaica Labour Party knows they have a whole heap of domain on the PNP side, all them have to do now is just draft some bill, put in some liquor, R-A-R-E-R-O-R. It kind of sound similarly, but them have different meaning. The JLP can use it and mash up the PNP. Them can hold up a domain in a party, in a parliament, to make sure the criminal them get some nice sentence when them go to court. I mean. So until we fix the quality of people we elect, we will continue to suffer the consequences of their ignorance. Because when Parliament becomes a classroom for dunces, the entire nation pay the tuition. And I just saw it go. If you elect fools, they expect to get foolishness out of them. I will say have a beautiful day. Jamaica Young Police Channel out.